Hello, dear traders. This is Alexander Gerchik, and today we'll have our short webinar about when not to trade. When not to trade as far as the time in the market, when not to trade when you're in a position. I will tell you some of my stories, and trust me, I've been in the business for 20 years, and I do know what I'm talking about. The first of all, I want to tell you about obviously psychological problems, because if something is not right with you, you go and trade when you have a problem. Either this is a money problem, either a problem in the family with the wife, or anybody is sick. I guarantee you right away, you're never going to make it. You're always going to have a problem. I'll tell you honestly, the biggest losses that I ever have in my life, that was the losses when I had issues home. Either somebody got sick, either I had a fight home, or something else. I mean, everybody have families, and it's not always very smooth. Sometimes it's the waves. And when I had a problems with my mother-in-law, I always had a problem in my trading. I mean, when you come in the morning, the issue is the person is the such an animal that every time we got affected by something, it will basically it's affect our brain. I mean, everybody knows that. I'm not the first one to tell you. One thing for a fact, probably when you trade and something is really bothering you, or somebody call you and you owe money to somebody or something, and after this phone call you totally change. You start to trade completely different way. I'm sure everybody who's going to watch this webinar, they know one thing for a fact, that you're going to really have an issue 100%. So basically, the most important thing, it's a lot of people, they try to control themselves, but most of the time I figure it out, it's not that easy to control yourself. It's much easier not to trade. I figure it out one thing, that's if I wouldn't trade on those days when I had an issue with myself, I would save much more money and I would not have problems in my trading account. But the biggest losses that ever occurred to me, that was the days when I had a problem home with the parents, with the kids, or anybody got sick. A lot of times people, like, my son would get sick, I would take him to the doctor, and then once I come back, it's, let's say, a little early, 11:30, and I'm going to sit down by my computer and try to trade. Trust me, it's always going to occur the losses, because that's the way we built. I mean, there's a few people who's extremely strong and who can eat these issues. But most of the time, as far as I see, and as I told you before, I run the company with the thousands of traders. I know one thing for a fact, that's when the trader has a problem, most of the time is going to affect his trading, 99%. So when you have a problem, when you're tired, when you're sick, it's not to trade. What happened to me once before, I remember one thing for a fact, that when I was running the statistics on my personal account, I knew it, that every Friday, it's been after like 3 or 4 years of my trading. Every Friday, after 3 or 4 years of my trading, I would pretty much most of the time lose money. It doesn't matter how much I would lose. It would be $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000. I would lose money. So what I started to figure it out, I took, let's say, 20 different Fridays. This is about a little bit under 6 months, and I started to see what's going on. And I figured out that just by Thursday, I am getting physically tired, because I was a day trader. I used to do, 500 to 1,000 trades a day, sometimes even more, sometimes less, trading 100 to 150 positions at the same time. And I figured out one thing, that's, I was just plainly getting tired. So what I started to do, I did not come on Friday. And my results become much better. By Monday I was perfectly fine. Sometimes it doesn't take, it's enough, not enough, 2 or 3 days to recuperate yourself to trade, just for you to understand, especially if you're a day trader. If you're a swing trader or position trader, it's perfectly fine. It's okay. You can trade the position. It's no problem. But when you're intraday trader and you trade every single day, and you basically deal with these problems over and over again, you're definitely going to have an issues. So my advice to you, when basically you have issues and when you see you tired, just take a days off. The beautiful part about me, that why I'm still in the business for so many years and still trading, I went to vacation many times a year, at least 5 or 6 times. I would say every 2.5 months, I used to like pack my stuff and take my family and go home, go to vacation. It would be Florida or something else, as long as you don't have a long flights. But not everybody have as much as money as me. So if you don't have a lot of money, just go away. Just take the car, drive a few days. Not everybody have to live large and spend a lot of money. There is a plenty of vacations which is going to cost you very little money. So my advice to you, it's as soon as you see you're a little tired, because a lot of times people think the market is changing, and it's not the market is changing, it's you getting tired. And I'm sure a lot of traders who's going to watch my video, they know one thing for a fact. That's what it is. I mean, you're not going to be able to run with the same speed all the time. You definitely need a rest, and sometimes 2 or 3 days resting is perfectly enough to put yourself back in your shoes. A lot of times the people asking the question how to do with the psychological problems and everything else. Trust me, don't try to deal with it when you're trading. Very important thing. When you are tired and when you're sick and you have a problem home, one simple advice: don't trade. The beautiful part that the people start in the trading business for one simple reason. They're not obligated to a boss, to a worker, to the firm, or anything else. They just trade, let's say, their own money. They're extremely happy with what they do, and they don't need anything else. So that's why you choose a day trading or swing position or just the trading itself. Not to go in the intraday trading, and not to go crazy, and not to become as an employee and work for the boss. You can always take a day off. You can always take a day off to relax. This is the very important thing, and I basically would push you to the limit, not to go crazy when you have a problem. Trust me, this year, the next year, it's going to be 20 years that I'm in trading, just in trading from 1998. And 1996, it was a year I came into the securities industry. In 1998, I got my license. So I figured out one thing: you get very tired very fast, because this trading business, it takes all your blood, all your soul away, because you go through the every single trade. Every single trade you go through it, you getting tired. That's what it is. So your job is very simple. It's not to like just overcome, but to take a rest. Because a lot of times, for example, a runner, he knows exactly how to run. If you take a look, the people who's running 42 kilometers marathon distance, they all prepare, because they know the periods when they're getting tired. Body cannot basically sustain the same speed over and over again. That's what it is. Same as in trading. You cannot trade with the same speed, with the same results and everything else. So my advice to you, very simple: when you have issues, you stop, you take a break, because this sometimes, most of the time, it's not a market changing. It's you, the one who is having a problem. So my advice to you: when you have a problem, you don't trade. A lot of times I have a questions when I'm not trading. I'm not trading when I'm sick, when I have personal issues, when I have issues in the family, when I just don't feel comfortable. Trust me, there is a days like this. But for me now, it's easier because I do it only swing trades. But for me right now, as I said, it's easier. But when I was trading intraday before, if I don't feel good, I wouldn't go to work. That's the beautiful part about this business. You don't have boss. You don't have to report to anybody. If you don't like it, don't trade. That's a very important thing. And a lot of times people asking me a question: when not to trade. In order to basically not to talk and to show you something, I will show you sometime some basically some charts right now, so you'll figure it out one thing: when is not to trade, and I'll explain it for you. You probably never seen this before, so I'll explain for you what it's all about. Right now, we're gonna see something, and I'll prove it to you when is not to trade base. Take a look. I'll show you right now. Whatever you see in the chart, this is a index of the New York Stock Exchange total volume during the day. It's a 5-minute chart. So what does it show you? It shows you exactly when is the biggest volume on the market. Biggest volume on the market, as you can see, usually, take a look, pretty much all the time, is the first hour. You see, the first hour, that's the biggest volume. So from 9:30 to 10:30 to about 11 o'clock, this is the biggest volume. And then, as you see, at about 2 o'clock, the volume dies. And it stays like this to about 3:30, 3:15. So what do we have in this chart? This is just to prove it to you. On the days like this, when the volume is very low, you're going to have a problem during the day, because when the volume on the market is very low, you're going to get entrapped. you know one thing for a fact: the spreads are going to get bigger. It's much easier to manipulate. So this is the answer. Once you're going to see something like that, you have to know one thing for a fact: when it's no volume in the market, you don't trade. So just to tell you about every single market, for example, if you trade let's say United States market, the first hour and a half, basically, this is the most active ones. I mean, we're not talking about the news, because when the news are coming, it's nothing you can do. The news are news, and when the news are coming, a lot of stocks get manipulated with the price and volume and everything else. So once you trade first 1.5 hours, then if you hold the positions, just hold. If you don't hold the position, try to not to get in between, let's say, 12 and 2:30, because most of the time you're going to lose there. As I said, only if it's a new stock or it's a gap situation. So what I want to show you in this particular chart, take a look again. Take a look again. The first biggest volume, that's the 5 minutes, so that's what it is. Up to here, so it's about an hour, hour and a half. Then after that, the volume is drying up, and as you can see, somewhere by about 2, 3 o'clock, you see the volume is drying. Very small volume. Take a look. I mean, what's going on, and you'll see, you'll figure it out one thing. So basically, the 60-70% of the whole volume comes with the first 1 hour in the last 1 hour. Most of the day, it's a very small volume. That's why you get in the trap. So just for you to understand, I just prove it to you. That's not my imagination. That's exactly what it is. So your job is very simple. When you see and when you know the market is dead, not to trade. If you trade forex, you know there's also dead hours. You know, it's night before the China is open, before the England is open. It looks like it's trading 24 hours, but the volume is not always there. So you have to figure it out one thing for a fact: when is the best hours? I mean, when the spreads are good, when the volume is in the market. Because as you understand one thing for a fact: when it's no volume in the market makers are not going to take a hit, and they're not going to take a chance on you. So most of the time, the spreads are going to be bigger. The volume on the bids and offers is going to be smaller, and that's where you're going to lose most of your money. Sometime when the market is slow, you can also make money, but most of the time, as I said, there is for every single market, there's a certain period of time, and you as a trader, whatever you trade, you have to know when the market is good and when the market is bad, where to trade and when not to trade. Very important thing, which never happens to me. I never give it away more than 25% of my earnings if they're above average. So, for example, on average, when I was a day trader, I used to make $5,000 a day, more. You know, I had the years where I used to make $10,000, $15,000 a day. So, for example, if I made $5,000 a day, I would never give it away more than 25%. So, if let's say I'm losing $1,200, that $3,800, I just turn my computer out and not going to trade anymore. If I made $10,000, if I lost $2,000, $2,500, that's it. I'm out of the game. First of all, I never try to make money back when I'm losing money. If I know I'm losing money, I always have a maximum loss for the day, and after that, I just don't trade. That's why I'm in the business for so many years. That's why I've been very disciplined, and that's why I made a lot of money in the market. So my advice to you, very simple. When you have a problem psychologically, you don't trade. When you have issues home, you don't trade. When you have a personal issues, you don't trade. When you're sick, you don't trade. When it's Monday and after Friday and Saturday and Sunday, you being drunk, going in the club with the girls, you don't trade. Very important thing. When it's no volume in the market, you don't trade. Believe me, if you're going to trade during those hours when you're comfortable, when you know the statistics show you that you're the best at this time, that's where you're going to make most of your money. It's been Alexander Gerchik. It was a pleasure to give you these advices. Thank you very much, and all the best.